Evening. My name is Suzanne Kavik, and I am president of the League of Women Voters of Newcastle. I'd like to welcome you and our candidates to the Candidates Night for both the CCSD School Board and Library Board. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots political organization of women and men. This means that the League does not support or oppose one candidate or political party over another. We are dedicated to the active and informed participation of citizens in government at all levels. The League works to educate voters, increase understanding and debate on major policy issues, and influence policy through education and advocacy. The League takes positions on policies, not candidates or parties. You can find information about the League at our website, lwvnewcastle.org, and that's also where you can find information on all of tonight's candidates in our online voters guide. This evening's proceedings are being taped by Newcastle Community Media Center and are being live streamed on YouTube. On YouTube, you can use closed captioning if you would like to. The forum will be available on demand at nccmc.com and also on YouTube. All other recording is strictly prohibited. Any rebroadcast of this candidate's night must be in its entirety and unedited. Our timekeeper is League member Mary Kirsch. Our moderator for this evening is Leah Dembitzer, a member of the League of Women Voters of Scarsdale. Leah will now go over the ground rules for tonight's forum.
Thank you, Suzanne. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Leah Dembitzer. I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Scarsdale, and I'm serving as your moderator tonight. In accordance with League policy, I am not a voter in your district. I would like to remind you of some key voter information. Election Day is Tuesday, May 18th. Polling hours are 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Horace Greeley High School Gym. Please go to lwvnewcastle.org for registration and absentee ballot information. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few ground rules. The order of opening statements has been determined by lots that were drawn before the forum. The order of closing statements will be in reverse order. The order in which candidates will respond to further questions will be rotated to assure fairness. Throughout the forums, any comment of a personal or abusive nature will be ruled as out of order. Each candidate has up to 2 minutes for their opening statement. They will then answer a question posed by the League, followed by audience questions. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. The timekeeper will indicate when 1 minute remains, when 30 seconds remain, and again when the time is up. Questions from the audience were submitted prior to the candidates forum by email and Google Form. The audience will not be able to submit questions during the live event. Candidates will be allowed up to 2 30-second rebuttals during the question period. I ask that candidates raise their hand if they would like to give a rebuttal after both candidates have already responded to a given question. At the conclusion of the question period, each candidate will give a closing statement of a maximum of 1 minute. We will now begin with the library board. We have 2 candidates for 1 position on the library board. In alphabetical order, your candidates are Sharaya Anand and Karen Sobek. We will begin with opening statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes to give an opening statement. Karen Sobek will go first and Sharaya Anand will go second. Go ahead, Ms. Sobek.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor to be running for the library board for the Chappaqua School District, and I want to let you know why I'm excited about it. My main reason is, first and foremost, I love libraries. I truly am passionate about them, have been since I was a kid, through my undergraduate and graduate studies. And I felt it even more this year over the lockdown when we were shut out of going to the library to find that kind of refuge that we look forward to there. The idea for me to run has been running around in my brain for years, and I finally decided that this year, instead of signing everybody else's petition, I was going to throw my own hat into the ring. I also found when going to members of my community and finding out what they wanted and getting their signatures on my petition, what are they looking forward to? And it's a very different demographic. We always think of Chappaqua as having a great school system, which it does, but there are many people out in the Chappaqua community who don't have children in school. In fact, there's a large quantity of empty nesters that exist within the Chappaqua community, people that are thinking of starting a second career like myself. I'm now on the faculty at Columbia. So when I started looking into libraries, I decided that I would go to the other libraries other than just Chappaqua to see what the personalities were of Ossining, Armonk, Pleasantville, Pace University, my own alma mater at Columbia, as well as many of the New York City branches. And what I found is the needs are different. So I believe that I may represent a demographic that has not necessarily been addressed in the past, of someone who is starting a second career, someone who's starting a third career, somebody who is writing the great American novel. And I promise to you that with 4 grandsons, I'm very well aware of the need for youth and addressing the needs of our youth within the Chappaqua community. But I also am looking forward to representing the needs of people who don't have children within the Chappaqua school system. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Sobek. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Anand.
Thank you to the League for hosting us. Good evening. My name is Shohra Anand. Last summer, I joined the library team of the Newcastle Council on Race and Equity. We researched and suggested recommendations to improve diversity and inclusion. I could see how critical it is to support libraries' work in bringing a community together on social issues. With a vacancy on the library board, I applied and was appointed. My term expires in June. In the last 4 months on the board, firstly, I have focused on learning the key issues: constructions, finances, laws, employment, and contracts. Secondly, I work on a committee to improve communications through our website, program registration, calendar, and our technology. I have a master's in computer science and a doctorate in adult and organizational learning. This combination of technology and human development helps me balance the needs of different community members, from mothers to kids to older residents, to our director and professional staff, to all taxpayers. The library is an integral part of our community. My family has lived in Chappaqua for over 20 years. My 2 children went from preschool to high school in Chappaqua. All along the way, they benefited from library services, from story times to SAT prep workshops. I bring the perspectives of a parent, now an empty nester, and a trustee to the board and hope to continue the work I have started. We need to strengthen our library's position as a community hub. We can improve technological accessibility, showcase diversity in our collections and programs, and engage more of our community through improved communication and awareness of offerings. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Anand. Now we will move to the questions. The first question is from the League of Women Voters of Newcastle, and the remaining questions were submitted by community members in advance of the forum. Each candidate has 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. Okay, number 1, first we'll go to Ms. Anand. Have you ever attended or watched a Chappaqua Library Board meeting? What have you done to learn about the roles and responsibilities of a library board member? Go ahead, Ms. Anand.
Yes, so for the last 4 months, I have attended all the meetings as a trustee. Prior to applying to fill the vacancy, I watched probably 6 months of the board meetings in order to understand the most current issues that the library is facing. And I have gone through 5 years of, probably 5 years of library minutes to understand the type of issues that would appear in the course of a trustee 5-year service. I have also attended trustee workshops and look at through materials that are available through Westchester library system for trustees.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll move to Ms. Sobek. Do you need me to repeat the question, or you're okay?
No, I think I understand the question. So the question being, have you ever attended a board meeting and what have you done to learn about the issues in front of the board? So yes, I have attended a number of board meetings. And I must say, since I decided to run, I have watched the last 6 months worth of board meetings. It really requires not just the attendance of the board meetings, because a lot of the board materials or the board meetings are occupied by people raising motion, seconding a motion. And if you're not familiar with what's going on, you need to go back and read the minutes. So I did that as well. I do feel like I'm well abreast of the issues that are facing the board, in particular the construction project, finishing the construction project, as well as all the things that they have done. I attended last night the Chappaqua School District budget meeting and heard our excellent director, Andrew Farber, presenting things about the library, in particular that over 7,000 people have used the library services during the pandemic. I heard about the budget proposal, the increase in the budget proposal, where the majority of money is spent within the Chappaqua School District budget. Many of the excellent programs that are being offered within the Chappaqua Library outreach. And I believe the primary thing to focus on at this point is what the community wants, what the community needs when the pandemic ends, and hopefully help everybody in the library and on the library staff focus on what those needs are.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Sobek. Question 2. We'll go first to Ms. Sobek. What are the primary qualities you would look for in a library director if you were on the board at the time of hiring? You may go ahead.
I would look for somebody who works well with the people on their staff, who really puts their staff primary. My belief is you don't need to have just a vision about what the library should be doing, but you need to take care of your staff. You need to know what makes them tick, what is rewarding for them, what kind of benefits they're looking for as a member of the library staff. I would be looking for someone very well educated, somebody who's been in the field. I did speak with Andrew. He's been in the field of library involvement for over 20 years, starting out in Ossining. I met with Tao Nguyen, who is the assistant director, who's been there for about 3 weeks. And I think both of them have an excellent vision about what they plan to do in reopening the library and how they plan to reach out to the members of the community through strategic planning to find out what type of things the community wants to bring forward.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Anand, what are the primary qualities you would look for in a library director if you were on the board at the time of hiring?
The library system in New York State is quite a complex process, complex construction. It's the financial, there are different types of libraries that are chartered in New York State, and you really need somebody who is familiar with that kind of system and knows how to navigate, in addition to the ability to run the day-to-day operation of a library and work with the staff. And in addition, the person needs to be able to work with the board. Board has oversight and fiduciary responsibilities, and you need a director that can respect that and can work with the board. And I agree with Karen that our current director, I cannot take credit for being involved in hiring him, but he has been at Greenberg Library for many, many years, and then at Somers, and he brings all those qualities to our library. And in addition to a technology background that he has, that I think is an excellent asset for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anand. The third question will go to you first, Ms. Anand. What is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the director or administration?
So we all have our thinking preferences. So some of us would like to look at the big picture. Some like to look at details. Some people pay attention to the human aspect of a project. Others look at the structures and policies and procedures. So all those things are good when we have an issue in front of us. We want to be able to look at it from all different angles. So by having an open mind and being acceptable of the views of others and consider them, we really can have a situation where we're discussing an issue and we figure out what is important and what is not. And openness to others, and not the other thing that I think is important is not to be wedded to our own opinions and being able to modify and change and accept others. And so I think that has been the working of our board, and working with the director also means respecting his role as the executor of the vision of the library. And if we keep that in mind, I think everything would be fine.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Anand. Ms. Sobek, what is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration or director?
Thank you, Leah. I would probably draw on my past experience. I served as the chairperson of the National Hospice Organization during the time that we were getting hospice legislation passed. There were very many divergent personalities from all over the country, and many of them disagreed with each other in terms of the path. Probably the other thing I would add to that is my master's degree in psychiatric mental health nursing. And not to say that you have to do therapy, but I do think that there's a real advantage for sitting down one-on-one with members of the board that may have a divergent personality or a divergent point of view, and figuring out what is most important to them. What is the message that they're trying to communicate that causes them to be in conflict with somebody else on the board? Just one-on-one communication, I think, is the most important thing. And then once you've reached a consensus or an understanding of why that divergence happens, then working towards having those two people perhaps sit down with each other over coffee and talk about how they can resolve some of their differences so that they hear each other. Because usually when there's a difference of opinion, it's because people are speaking and not listening. They're not really obtaining or absorbing what that person is trying to say. So having people repeat back, what is it that you're trying to say? I understand that you're saying I want to have this be the priority for the library board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sobek. The next question will go to you first. The Chappaqua Library is embarking on a long-range strategic plan. What do you think the role of the library is in the future? Should the library be focused on books or provide a wide range of other services? Ms. Sobek, you go first.
Thank you. So that's an excellent question, Leah. Libraries have changed dramatically over the last 10 years. They're no longer book stacks like they were in my youth. There are no more card catalogs. They've changed dramatically to using the internet and obtaining information. So I believe that the focus of the library in the future is not necessarily in purchasing books, although books are part of the agenda on the budget process that I heard last night, but they're also decreasing the use of CDs and DVDs because of streaming services. They've added a number of excellent streaming services, including Acorn, that I know a lot of my friends are happy to use, British television. So I think that the issue with the library going forward is it needs to really focus on the technology that's available to people to use they may not have in their homes, as well as being able to access the technology that's available at the library at the time that they're there.
Great, thank you so much. Ms. Anand, I'll repeat the question for you. The Chappaqua Library is embarking on a long-range strategic plan. What do you think the role of the library is in the future? Should the library be focused on books or provide a wide range of other services? You may go ahead.
Thank you. We're more and more, of course, using online and digital content. As a matter of fact, right now, 50% of our circulation, so to speak, has been online. So therefore, I agree that technology is a big part of that. And we need to provide interfaces, websites, and so forth that is easy to navigate. So all different demographics in our community can access the kind of content that they need. Increasingly, because the data is moving online, it means that we will have more space, more physical space in our libraries going forward. And we need to figure out what to do with that physical space. And in my opinion, it has to be in a space to bring our community to interact with each other, to attend programs, to have dialogue with each other, to really create a dynamic community where a lot of issues can be discussed among the community members within our space that we have available. And of course, it has to also provide programs for children and youth and their development and for creativity. And, you know, the overall, I'm an adult educator, therefore, any type of education is dear and near to my heart. And I think that's a part of library job to do.
Thank you, Ms. Anand. The fifth question will go to you first. The library has just completed an expansion in the children's section of the library. What new programming do you believe is needed to bring back children into the library? Go ahead, Ms. Anand.
So yes, with our wonderful new space, we can increase the type of programs that really nurtures everybody from toddler all the way to, I guess, middle school. My children were beneficiary of a lot of the programs that there was available, whether it was learning to read, learning to socialize with other kids in a structured program within the that setting, whether having parents to be part of the program, sharing. We can have BIPOC community, for example, share their experiences with the children. And I also like a lot of programs that came through pandemic, like book bundles, where you can actually have a librarian curate a collection for you. And I think that was a godsend during this pandemic, as well as for busy parents going forward. That would be a program that I would like to continue.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Anand. Okay, Ms. Sobek, the library has just completed an expansion in the children's section. What new programming do you believe is needed to bring back children into the library?
I would second what Shore said, and I go back on my experience with my 4 grandsons. My oldest grandson will be entering Greeley High School next year, and we started in the movement groups that they had at the library, and book reading, puppetry. And I think anytime you're appealing to kids, you need to have something that's engaging, that's active, that there's an area for them to move around as they're participating in the activity and not needing to sit still at a desk. So I think that's first and foremost. They need to be active programs. I also think that there's a need within our community to address the special needs of children within our community. In particular, there was a recent program about children on the autistic spectrum and the issues that come up for special needs children related to sensory needs, visual, auditory. One of the programs that happened on Zoom during the pandemic, in addition to the excellent thing that Shore said about book bundles, is they had cooking for kids. And it was a very successful program. And I would hope that there'd be some area in the library that we could involve that activity as well. I think anytime you engage kids, they're so digital. My 3-year-old can sit down and open and close YouTube faster than I can say banana. Which is his favorite fruit. But I think it's important to get kids engaged where they are. And right now our kids are digital. And the digital program should include things that entertain them.
Thank you. Ms. Sobek, this number 6 question will go to you first. What is your impression of the amount of student utilization of library resources, including using the building as a study place? How would you seek to improve the library to make it more friendly to high schoolers looking for a safe place to study independently or in groups?
Thank you. That's a very important question to me because it has a lot to do with why I decided to run for the library board. I think children need to have a space that they understand what the protocols are. They understand that everybody's there to learn together. But they work in groups in which they have some ability to speak with each other in a a tone that doesn't disrupt everybody else in the library. It's a hard thing because the library exists right next to Bell School. And as a result, a lot of the kids head to Bell right after school lets out. And I am encouraged to know that the Chappaqua Library has now built into their construction study rooms or study cubicles where students can be louder than they normally would be because they're in a more quiet space or distracted from the rest of the people within the library. So I think that's important. I think engaging them, as I heard last night with the science projects that were done, Regeneron awards that were offered to some of our STEM students. So they have a place to go where they can collaborate with each other and share their ideas. I think that's probably the biggest thing of getting the high school students to use that, because there's not a lot of activity within our community or areas where high school kids can congregate. And I think the library is an excellent place for them to be able to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Sobek. Ms. Anand, what is your impression of the amount of student utilization of the library resources, including using the building as a study place? How would you seek to improve the library to make it more friendly for high schoolers looking for a safe place to study independently or in groups?
Yes, I think library as a safe space for our high schoolers and middle schoolers to be there, to study, to also socialize with each other is an important resource of our community. Now we have a little cafe in the library. We actually have a space for the teens to be in an enclosed area and have conversations, so not to disrupt others. I feel we need to continue to provide the type of materials that they might need, especially the high schooler at our library, because I know my children, for example, use the library for studying as well as looking for colleges and SAT and all those kind of things. And if we need digital resources for that, because now they are more comfortable using digital resources, then the focus should be on that. If they still like the books, we should provide the books. But in any event, I think they need to be welcome. They need to feel that, and we need to sort of be aware of them being present after school hours. And maybe if the noise is a consideration, think of ways that we can accommodate our other patrons in a different way in different hours.
Thank you, Ms. Anand. Now we will move to closing statements. Closing statements are in the reverse order from opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute to give a closing statement. Ms. Anand will go first and Ms. Sobek will go second. You may go ahead, Ms. Anand.
Thank you. I have been a resident of this community for a long time and I love it. Our library is a gem. Board members come and go, but an institution with a mission and a vision endures and prospers. With the interior construction projects behind us, we have a beautiful facility. Our focus will be turned to our strategic plan. The pandemic prompted us to discover the ease of accessing books and programs online at home. But it also made us more aware that we are social beings in need of connections to others. Libraries are not just storehouse for information. They are spaces to exchange ideas, interact, and collaborate. There are venues for creativity, innovation, recreation, and quiet contemplation. Careful, thoughtful opportunities to make connections no matter the stage of life should be our vision. I hope to be a part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anand. Go ahead, Ms. Sobek.
I just want to say thank you so much, Leah, and to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. It's really been a wonderful opportunity for me to meet other people within the community. I have lived here for 6 years, and as I said, used it for many years prior to that with my grandson who lived in this community. I promise, if elected, that I will represent all of the needs of the Chappaqua community, both the youth and the adults who use the library. I want to be part of the strategic plan and how to find out from the community what they want from the library, and going about that process may be complicated. I believe I have excellent collaborative skills working on both national and local boards. As I mentioned earlier, libraries have changed radically within the last 10 years, and they're now becoming much more of a place where people self-educate themselves with the vast quantity of information available through the internet, creating manuscripts, writing op-eds for professional journals, and aiding in the ability to develop a second career. Please give me the opportunity to serve you as a library board member by voting. Coming up on May 18th at the Greeley High School. The polls are open from 7 in the morning until 9 p.m. at night. And I hope I will be honored by your vote. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you to the candidates, to the community. Please don't forget to vote on May 18th, and please stay tuned for our school board candidate forum, which will begin momentarily. Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening once again. We now begin the school board candidate forum portion of the evening. We have 2 candidates for 1 position on the CCSD board. In alphabetical order, your candidates are Ellen Exum and Kaylee Huang. As in the previous forum, the candidates will have up to 2 minutes to give an opening statement. The order of opening statements was determined via lots prior to the forum. Following that, I will pose questions to the candidates. The first question is from the League of Women Voters of Newcastle. The remaining questions were submitted by community members on a Google form or email in advance of this event. Candidates will have up to 1.5 minutes to respond to questions. The candidates may use up to 2 30-second rebuttals if desired during the Q&A portion. Once again, if you would like to do that, please raise your hand after you both answer a question and I will call on you for a rebuttal. At the end of the Q&A portion, we will move to closing statements. Each candidate has 1 minute to give a closing statement, and closing statements will be given in reverse order of opening statements. We will now begin with opening statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes to give an opening statement. Kaylee Huang will go first. Go ahead, Ms. Huang.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this evening's event. Thank you. Tonight, I sit here before you to share just a little bit of myself, my family, and my passion for education. My name is Kaylee Huang, and I'm a mother of 3 boys, a wife, a daughter, and a sister to 2 younger siblings. I am also an educator and teacher who is committed to pursuing excellence in education for a very long time. As I woke up this morning to prepare for this Meet the Candidates night, I went about a pretty routine day. I did a load of laundry, met with people, sat in Zoom meetings, did some grocery shopping, and waited on the long pickup line at Roaring Brook School. I even managed to chauffeur my kids around to some of their afternoon activities. And here I am now, stepping outside my comfort zone to speak to all of you and listen to what are the important matters of your heart. I come with an open heart, a listening ear, and an attitude to engage in thoughtful conversations, respecting one another's differences without passing judgment. To ask questions like, can you say more? Can you help me understand more? We're all here because we care. We care about great education. We care about the community we live in. The differences in our opinions, our experiences, and thoughts should not divide us. We should welcome it. I don't have a special agenda or a fancy platform. I want a seat at the table and to be your board trustee because I want to make connections with people, build relationships. I want to serve 100% of this community. I am committed and dedicated to serve our children and all of our families across our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Go ahead, Ms. Exum.
Hi, and thank you to the League of Women Voters, and hello to everyone who has tuned in this evening. I'm Ellen Exum, a mom of 3 kids in 3 different schools with 3 very different needs. My kids attend West Orchard, Seven Bridges, and an out-of-district school for our special needs son. Above all my credentials, I am a mom and a neighbor in Chappaqua for about 12 years and a PTA volunteer. I am also a corporate human resource executive with a degree in business economics and over 25 years of experience working at several blue chip companies and with board of directors. Most importantly, I've had the pleasure of representing millions of employees and their families to get the right services to the right people at the right time to improve their lives from a compensation and health and wellness perspective. I build programs and advocate for every stage in a person's life. My purpose for running for this position is simple, just to support our students, serve our community, and apply my expertise to work for you. I know what it is like to advocate for your child and worry for the emotional and wellness, for the emotional and academic success. And I want to develop well-rounded students with a global lens and a fiscally responsible budget that represents residents, whether empty nesters or growing families. Every day I navigate in a world where collaboration, strategic thinking, and building budgets are how I get things done. So if elected, I will put our children in the center of all we do and hope to influence policy, accountable practices, and introduce new ideas to the board. I close with, I believe that this is a pivotal point in our society where we need to build trust and partner with all district families, administration, and staff. I believe in health and well-being, equity, and progress. I can add value, my skills, and my voice to work for you and the CCSD Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Question number 1 will go to you first. What have you done to educate yourself about the roles and responsibilities of a school board member? What is your understanding of how that role differs from those of the superintendent or school administrators? You may go ahead.
Yes, thank you. As I considered this position, and I've looked at or reviewed several of the board meetings that are on YouTube, I also am very much prepared working with the school system for my children, and particularly in a special needs environment. So I understand the role of the school board is to establish policy and practice. It's to be fiscally responsible with the budget. It's really also to provide oversight and governance. And in addition, it is measures the superintendent. So the difference is really the superintendent and the administration are dealing with the day-to-day. It is our responsibility to bring feedback from the community and feedback from the community to ensure that they are following the legally required responsibility of the Board of Education to make sure that we educate our students.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Ms. Wong, now to you. What have you done to educate yourself about the roles and responsibilities of a school board member? What is your understanding of how that role differs from those of superintendent and school administrators?
Thank you. So it just so happens that I attended a board meeting last night, and I was there to listen. And I saw good things. I felt very encouraged. I saw a lot of people coming together, asking questions, listening to one another, and doing a lot of hard work. In a time that's really, really critical, and in a time where there are lots of big topics and big issues. As a board trustee, I will be a representative and an advocate for the community. I would prioritize the interests of the students and the school system through the fundamental responsibilities tied to governance, policies, budgeting, and more. And I could only do my best. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Huang, you will answer the second question first. It will go to you first. The school budget, spending, and taxes affects residents with and without kids in the district. How would you balance the need to provide a robust and enriched educational experience for all children with the need to manage taxpayer burdens? As a board member, where would you look to make budget cuts? Are there any areas you would not consider cutting? You may go ahead.
That's a really difficult question because we want to do good work and we want to provide the best for all of our students. And being able to allocate funds and monies to services and salaries and benefits for all that's involved takes a lot of work and a lot of thinking. Luckily, we have great people who are good at this, great people who are experts at this, and a team that will get things done. And I think you have to trust the team, and that's where I come in. I'm there to listen, and I'm there to trust and learn and to take into action what is being said.
Thank you. Ms. Exum, the school budget, spending, and taxes affects residents with and without kids in the school district. How would you balance the need to provide a robust and enriched educational experience for all children with the need to manage taxpayer burdens? As a board member, where would you look to make budget cuts? Are there any areas you would not consider cutting? You may go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Question near and dear to my heart because of my background in business economics and dealing with budgets pretty much on a very frequent basis, and also having to answer to a board of directors, as well as educating our children and also being a taxpayer myself. So what I would say is I believe in zero-based budgeting. I've been evaluating the budget for the last few years, and I noticed that we have year-over-year costs that are exactly the same in a line item. So a couple of things I would do is have more transparency. Again, zero-based budgeting. Every dollar we would have to build up from the bottom and really explain each one of those. There's a couple of things I would attack in terms of addressing where we might find savings is one in our contracts. And I think people will notice that our contractor expenses are going up, but we also need to manage the work of the contractor to make sure they're delivering on the expectations in the contract. And then where I would not cut is from a social and emotional perspective and providing services for our students who might have had gaps in their academic or social and emotional well-being due to the recent social distancing and the social unrest. There's one other thing I would not cut is where we're using technological tools to help to meet children where they are, particularly in the special needs and the exceptional population.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. The next question will go to you first. Over the last decade, budget increases have added millions to the district operating budget. There have also been bond referendums for projects in excess of $50 million. The superintendent is proposing a new capital project funded from donations, the Sustainability Center at Greeley. Does the CCSD budget have the ability to complete and maintain all of these projects, including staffing? Do you support commencing a new project before the other capital projects are completed? Ms. Exum, you may go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said, I think this would take an evaluation of the entire budget, right? And not just the side budget that we're doing for capital projects. What I would suggest is that we dig deeper. In my opinion, we go through with what we need to actually maintain the building safety and actually maintain the buildings where there are opportunities for us to give academic areas where we do create these global, well-rounded students. I am a proponent of sustainability courses and the sustainability understanding and education and broadening our students' perspective on that. But from would I endorse it today? I would say that I would have to dig deeper and really understand it and project 5 years out. We know we have a lot of other things coming in, like possible changes in our classroom sizes and our academics, and we still have to come back from the pandemic. So I really think that it needs further evaluation, and I would do that if you elect me as part of the CCSD Board of Education.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Ms. Wong, Over the last decade, budget increases have added millions to the district operating budget. There have also been bond referendums for projects in excess of $50 million. The superintendent is proposing a new capital project funded by donations, the Sustainability Center at Greeley. Does the CCSD budget have the ability to complete and maintain all of these projects, including staffing? And do you support commencing a new project before the other capital projects are completed?
Thank you. So as I understand it, a lot of these projects that are proposed, that is coming in through donations, have also been supported through Chappaqua School Foundation, which I actually sit on the board as a board of director. And it's incredible what the foundation has done to bring innovative, collaborative, just new, just amazing things into this school district. And this is not a district where, things just get started and then never gets completed. It's not something that we would do without the checks and balances in place. It's thoroughly thought out, and I support it. And I support any new initiatives, even if some are not completed or in the process, because I don't think it would be proposed without having a thorough check. And once I understand it and I have all the numbers and the facts in front of me, I would be able to make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. The next question, question 4, will go to you first. The CCSD claims to be an inclusive school district for students with special needs. We do a lot of talking about inclusion, but the metrics prove otherwise. How should the district measure and make sure inclusive social and academic practices are incorporated into the fiber of the district from the top down? What will you do as a board member to ensure inclusivity? Ms. Wong.
So again, I want to just reiterate how the importance of good listening is key here. And I want to be able to give opportunity to maximize every student's potential, to be able to provide the best possible education and provide the best resources that they individually need. We have a lot of good services here, a lot of good programs here. Does that mean that we can't improve upon it? No. We can always improve. I can always improve. And we have so much to learn. We have so much to think about. And I'm here to listen, and we're here to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Ms. Exum, the CCSD claims to be an inclusive school district for students with special needs. We do a lot of talking about inclusion, but the metrics prove otherwise. How should the district measure and make sure inclusive social and academic practices are incorporated into the fiber of the district from the top down? What will you do as a board member to ensure inclusivity?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. I actually have personal experience with inclusion with my special needs son, starting at pre-K here, all the way up through, he's in the 8th grade now. And I agree with the way the question is phrased. We preach inclusion, but I moved to this district so that we could be in an inclusive environment, and my son is now out of district. So I do agree that when the gaps get too wide, that we actually need to find different things for students. However, I think that the way we define inclusion is very narrow, and I think we really need to broaden that, right? So I think we really need to look at inclusion is not just whether you're special needs or not. It's not just whether you're in a classroom or not, because you could be in a classroom and still be excluded. So I think we have a lot of work to do from a Board of Education perspective to really define what inclusion means, to really create a curriculum that meets our students where they are, and take more effort in looking at the individual and looking at the whole student, rather than relying on words like the least restrictive environment, or relying on saying that we have diversity and inclusion, but not really, as you had mentioned, the metrics are not really reflecting that we're seeing that in our community or in our school systems.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. The next question, question number 5, will go to you first. College admissions is changing rapidly. Applications are increasingly becoming test optional. and students are being evaluated differently than by the traditional numbers. How can our district prepare students in order to differentiate themselves to college admissions officers going forward?
Yeah, I thank you for that question. I actually have had the opportunity in working in my alma mater's admissions office. So I have experience in the admissions office of college recruiters, as well as my corporate experience in hiring people once they graduate or go through the academic system. And what I would say is, I think this idea of creating the well-rounded individual with the global lens is much more than test scores, as the admission officers are saying. It is not in spite of test scores, so I wouldn't recommend we do something different from an academic perspective. But I really think that we really need to go deeper in this inclusive, equitable, and diverse environment. Because when you leave Chappaqua and you go into different worlds, it's a broad world out there, and they are going to encounter different things, and they really need to be able to speak the language, but also have the open mind and the skills to actually operate within that world very successfully. So it's my opinion, we need to double down on the curriculum that goes beyond it's also beyond sports. It's not just sports. It's really kind of the innovative thinking, the digital, being able to communicate and being able to understand different cultures and different environments.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Ms. Wong, college admissions is changing rapidly. Applications are increasingly becoming test optional, and students are being evaluated differently than by the traditional numbers. How can our district prepare students in order to differentiate themselves to college admissions officers going forward?
So when I think about that question, I think about all the kids, not just my kids, but kids of friends who gone through the process of applying to schools, neighbors. And I think about their stories and the stress behind it and what they wanted to highlight and what they wanted to include to present themselves to be that student that the schools want to choose. And when I think about that, I think about, yes, Chappaqua is a wonderful school district. Our numbers are good, test scores are good, the admissions to great colleges are great. But I want us to also think about and be able to say and be proud of saying, no, Chappaqua is a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful place for my children to grow up and to learn from not just the schools, but learn from the community members, just learn from being here. And I think that will translate into the academic portion as well. And in return, I think that will be a win-win and make that person a successful person.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. The next question, question 6, will go to you first. Last year brought social unrest, a contentious political climate, and a worldwide pandemic. It has taken a toll on all of our families, and many students have struggled with virtual learning and isolation. What role do you think the school district has in addressing students' mental and emotional health?
So it's been a really tough a year and a half almost for everyone, for adults, for students, for faculty, all the families in the district. And I think being able to set aside time to be able to connect and talk to our students when they return. As it was presented last night at the board meeting, more and more children are coming back to school in person, and that's a good thing. So that when in September, hopefully we will be in 100% attendance from day one, we will be able to just sit and talk and connect and build relationships again so that children will feel safe and happy, and so that they can thrive and learn, because that's what we want our kids to do in our buildings.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Oh, thank you. Ms. Exum.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I absolutely believe that the school district has a place in dealing with the gaps that we may have experienced from the social unrest and the pandemic. One, I'd like to start with saying I think the school did an innovative job in getting us to where we are now. And they've gone through a lot of obstacles to, get us in the classrooms. It wasn't without challenges, and it wasn't without a lot of parent involvement, right? So, we think about the students, but we also are supporting our parents who are supporting our students in this environment. And I really think that we need to prioritize from a social and wellness perspective. The school actually should look at adding resources to help our teachers identify and be able to recognize when a child is experiencing languish, because this has created languish amongst us, depression, self-harm, the different things of that nature. They should be able to identify it and help us manage that, as well as when we come out of pods and go into the groups, there needs to be a transition. And I know we talked about it last night, but the challenge with what has happened is each of our students and our parents have experienced it in such a varied way in the exact same school system. And I think we need to recognize that and deal with that each individual one. Last thing I'll say is I also think that we need to curate professionals, because there has been a shortage in professionals. So we need to make sure we direct parents to the right professionals that are open to new clients.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Ms. Wong, you have a rebuttal?
Yes, I just want to add to that and say that we actually have, I have met with Ellen Doherty, the Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Services, and also Karen Smith, who is the Director of Special Education in 504. And I have learned that there actually, the district has 8 psychologists at hand right now, and there is 1 in each of our buildings and 3 at the Horace Greeley High School. And I do think that we will have to think about how we will use their resources, but we have them, and it'll be great.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to question 7. This question will go to Ms. Exum first. The Chappaqua Central School District includes a wide range of constituents. If elected, you will serve the entire CCSD community. How do you define community? If elected, how would you learn of the concerns and experiences of those community members who are not in your particular demographic? How would you identify vulnerable members of our community? And how do you plan to serve their interests? You may go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I believe as an HR professional in 360-degree feedback, right? So I believe there are both qualitative and quantitative measures that we can get from our community. And when I think about our community, I think about our neighbors, I think about our students, I think about our administration, I think about the staff, I think about the empty nesters, as well as the early people growing their families now, or people who have just come here to enjoy Chappaqua and do not have kids in the school district. But I think that there are different ways to evaluate this. Certainly there's surveys that you can talk to all of these different constituents and get their feedback. I've noticed we've gotten a lot of feedback on Facebook, and there a lot of concerns come out in Chappaqua moms in different areas of that. But what most importantly, I would make myself accessible to have those discussions. I'm an active participant in most of the diversity meetings for the elementary and the middle schools. And I think, just having a forum to express their thoughts and for me to curate those and bring them forward to the Board of Education and then ultimately the superintendent, so that we can affect the curriculum and the environment of the student population.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Ms. Wong, the Chappaqua Central School District includes a wide range of constituents. If elected, you will serve the entire CCSD community. How do you define community? If elected, how would you learn of the concerns and experiences of those community members who are not in your particular demographic? How would you identify vulnerable members of our community? And how do you plan to serve their interests?
So when I think of community, I think about the folks that walk in front of my road here, because I live right in front of a pond and it happens to be a running route for runners. I think about the people I wave to, not knowing exactly who's in the car because I can't really see well, but that drive by. I think about the folks who have 2 kids, 3 kids. I think about my neighbors who have no kids. They've gone through the system, but the kids have moved out, but they're still here. That's my community. When I think about the vulnerable people in the community, I think about people who might be busy and not be able to participate in a lot of things that they care about, or people who has a language barrier and cannot advocate for themselves. And I want to be that person that they can reach out to and they can speak to, and I want to be that person that will listen to them and represent them and advocate for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Now we will move to closing statements. Closing statements are in the reverse order from opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute to give a closing statement. Ms. Exum will go first and Ms. Wong will go second. Ms. Exum.
Thank you. I again thank the League of Women Voters and thank all of you for the opportunity to engage with you this evening. I leave you with 3 things. 1, transparency and trust enables a culture of equity and inclusion. 2, there's a lot of work to do here for the health and well-being of our students. And if we put them in the center and meet them where they are, we can support their academic and social and emotional learning and build a community of well-rounded global citizens. And lastly, I am willing, ready, and able to bring your voice to the table of the CCSD Board for Progress. My name is Ellen Exum, and I am your candidate for the CCSD Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Exum. Go ahead, Ms. Wong.
In closing, I want to thank all of you who are watching and listening tonight. Thank you for making time to consider me as your new and next CCSD School Board trustee, a trustee that represents and advocates 100% of our community, a trustee who prioritizes the interests of students and the school system, a responsible trustee to all matters of budgeting, policies, governance, and more, a trustee that will be fiscally responsible. I leave you with a posture of listening, an attitude of humility, and a commitment to represent and respect all the good people that are here in this community, to find unity in our diversity, to grow, to develop, and mature. And with gratitude, I thank you. And an early shout out and happy Mother's Day to all the great mamas out there and all who celebrate mothers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates and to the audience. A reminder that this forum was videotaped and it will be available to you until Election Day. I also want to remind you of the unique and important role played by the League of Women Voters here in the community and all across the country. The League works registering voters, educating voters on the issues of the day, and protecting their right to vote. It's vital and gives strength to our democracy. Your local league is made up of volunteers who devote their time and energy. Your participation and assistance is always welcome, and your financial contributions to the league are appreciated. Remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. I encourage everyone to vote on May 18th. Thank you again. Have a nice evening. Good night.